Hey everyone, so the following is just a few quick clips we grabbed while doing part swaps between the two SIs while I had them for a few weeks together. These clips are from a couple months ago. I just finally got around to putting them together. So there's a few clips showing some of the stuff we did on them, a little bit of time-lapse footage from when we were working on them. So basically I had to get all the parts swapped over as quick as possible because I didn't have space for both cars. You'll see in the video, so we ended up having an issue with the suspension bolts that broke, and I ended up having to, that car was stuck where it was on jack stands for about a week, so then I'd have to park my other Honda in front of it sideways in my driveway, and then pull my truck up into the driveway every night to get it out of the street. Unfortunately, where we live, we're in an HOA, and you cannot street park, so every night I have to have my vehicles out of the street and in the driveway. So it made for a very interesting week while we were trying to get everything wrapped up, but made it work. I actually ended up getting it sold to a local guy here that's just going into the Air Force Academy, and so far he's been doing some good stuff with it. He actually ended up installing the spoiler himself onto the car after he bought it, and he's taken very good care of it. So it's on to a good home. It lives on, just not with me. So here you go.
There's a quick rundown. It's kind of a cloudy, cold day, so got a couple buddies coming over right now. They're going to bring a couple heaters. I got to play a game of move all the cars around. So the goal today, so this one is going to be going up for sale soon, but it's got a lot of pieces that I've put on it that I want to get off. It's also got this check engine light I've been chasing, and I'm just sick of it. I don't want to deal with it trying to sell it, so I have, between the blue car, what it has on it, and what they sent with it, I've got a full factory exhaust. So we're going to swap the exhaust around, get a full factory exhaust on this, so it takes care of the check engine light on this one. There's a few other things I want to swap too. We might even end up swapping some suspension parts out, but I want the steering wheel, my carbon fiber intake, the seats I just did, all that's coming out of the red SI. So the windshield's pretty pitted. It has some chips and stuff in it. Did get a dash camera setup installed as well. But yeah, there's just a few things want to get swapped around. I don't know how much time we're going to have today, but definitely want to at least get the exhausts, the seats, the intake, steering wheel, and like I said, maybe even the suspension swapped between the two of them. Plus, if we pull the suspensions, I can adjust, hopefully, these up higher. It's allegedly got function and forms on it. So hopefully we could adjust them a little higher before we throw it on the red one. I do also have the spoiler and the lips back from paint. So I'm trying to decide, I may go ahead and throw the spoiler on before I sell it, since it is paint matched now. But that came out really, really good. So there's a spoiler. It's got a little LED third brake light I can screw in. And then up here you can see we have the front and rear lips that are painted as well. So well, there they are. Guys should be here soon, but I'm going to go ahead and get started on a couple of things. I start pulling the interior stuff out that I want to swap around, but really wish I could just keep both of them here. We talked about doing that. Keep the blue as a daily driver and then just go nuts and build the red one as a little track toy or something, but we really just don't have the space or the time to mess with all that. So let's get the good parts swapped, and then we'll find somebody good home for the red one. It's awesome. All the stockiness. I do have the battery hold down cross, but it's missing one J-bolt, so I got to get a new J-bolt.
I have my...
That's all going to come off.
GoPro here too, if you have an SD card for it. I forgot an SD card.
Okay. We gotta swap that carbon fiber goodness. And the Megan. Well, like my first video, like, I was like a minute in to filming a little clip, and I looked down and realized it was not recording anymore.
Oh,
Like,
that's lame.
it's our professional videographer.
Not as much anymore.
Bryson somewhere, but not here. See if he can add to the menagerie of jack stands. And then since there's no screen, we just kind of wing it.
Tiny screen.
Both off the ground.
I forgot mine, so.
Mine's a kerosene fully heated.
It's warming up pretty quick too. So we got them both completely in the air. Wheels are off. Time to start swapping something. Let's see. So it said, so these are allegedly, and they look like Coney yellows. Ground control struts, yeah? In a good way?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So it's.
So we can get a exhaust clip of no exhaust.
What's up?
Hey.
Dear camera.
Dear camera, we are destroying Dale's Hondas.
I have two 10mm wrenches right now. There's no telling what I could disassemble with these.
Pretty much an entire Honda. I
Alright.
saw a shirt once, and it had a 10mm socket on it, and it said "Hide and Seek Champion." That's so true. I want to stand off to the side. It sounds like a Honda.
It sounds like a Honda lawnmower.
A
Like
crashing
one I
biplane.
picked up at the Home Depot or something.
I think it's quieter than the red one was with the downpipe on.
It's so hot coming off here.
like pure fire.
I went to like
Yes.
put a hand in here to like plug this hole, and it was like hot.
Well, do we have an
Alrighty
exhaust
then.
swap?
The current state of the Hondas. No exhaust. No exhaust. Intakes are swapped. In a garage full of parts. And a Caleb.
Of like your foot on my junk.
That
would be so
I'm sure it'll be in there.
So this goes on the red one.
I'm sure it's in there.
Meanwhile, we have to actually weld that properly and then put it on the blue one.
Pry barb.
Puller? I have a huge pry bar if you need one.
I'm thinking something you can stick in here, pull this down because. Dale, another turn. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what we've always known it to stand for? I find out at Lexus it's the repair FRM.
Okay.
So factory repair manual, but the F is actually in there.
Effing repair manual. Top quality work.
I thought so.
The current fight. Bolt snapped.
I tried a technique that
So Ryan says we're not having fun anymore. So the aftermarket exhaust is going on the blue Honda. We got the front suspension swapped over, but we're taking off the last rear coilover back here. Cut that clip as I was going in.
Yep.
Stupid camera.
Come on, camera. Don't be like that bull.
So on this rear coilover, this bolt broke on the bottom. So I figured I'd pull this lower arm off to drill it out, and this bolt broke. So now this arm is stuck. So we're gonna try to drill that out, but if I can't get the two bolts to drill out easily in the car, then I gotta pull this entire assembly out and either drill the bolts out or just get an entire new hub assembly, swap the brakes over from the junkyard or something if I have to, but we're gonna try to drill them out. So to wrap up today, here's the current state of things. We really had hoped to get farther on these. I've got a lot of work ahead of me in the next couple days to try to get the red one finished up and ready to sell. So the red one, we ended up having to cut. There's still a bolt in that bushing. We had to cut through the bushing to get the lower, right there, or to get the strut out of there. We had to cut that bushing, so that arm is toast now. So this arm right here has to be replaced now. And the other bolt broke off, so I've got to cut the other bolt to get it out, and then go find a used or new one to replace it with. Then I've got to put the function and form suspension in this car. I've got to raise them up some because they're just way too low to be easily drivable. So I got to do that, get that back in that car. This one is all together. We got the DC Sports back end of the exhaust on. We went ahead and threw the Megan Racing header on. The only problem with this was I thought it had a rattle because of a loose heat shield, but it turns out the rattle was caused by the resonator in that exhaust. So what it looks like happened was somebody smashed a speed bump in the blue one in the past, and it crushed the resonator and actually knocked the interior of the resonator loose. So even just sitting at idle, it just rattles and rattles like crazy. So what I have to do, so the no-name exhaust, I pulled off the red car, still has a good resonator. So I've got to get the resonator off of this one, throw it under the blue car, so that the exhaust is good to go. Also, can't really see it in the dark, but so since the Coney suspension off the red one is so much higher, I mean it's like probably an inch higher ride height than the function and forms we took off, that threw the camber completely off on the blue car. So I've got to go get an alignment before I can really drive it as well. Because it does have camber adjustment plates, so they had it adjusted pretty good. Now that we've raised it, I've actually got positive camber at all four corners, so the tires are sitting out. So I'm going to have to get a friend of mine to do a really good alignment on that, get all the camber back into spec. And other than that, I'm going to get the interior cleaned up tomorrow, get the seats bolted back down. I've got to put the interior back together in the red one. We tried to swap the short shifter into the blue car, but the bolt's seized in that bushing in there, so I'll just pick one up off eBay or whatever for the blue car just to get a short shifter on there, because I do want that. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's where we're at. The blue car is almost drivable. Well, it is drivable, but it needs an alignment, and I gotta fix the exhaust still. And then the next couple days are gonna be spent trying to get the red car ready to go. So that's it for now. Till next time.
Alright, so to wrap that up real quick, so what happened afterwards, I ended up not really filming any of. So what I ended up having to do, so that arm was completely useless then. I had to cut through the bushing to get the bolt out, to get the suspension, so I could put that on the blue car to get that drivable. So then I ended up just getting an aftermarket lower control arm from O'Reilly's. I had to use a Sawzall and cut the final bolt because I couldn't get to it with my die grinder. Got the arm out of there, then I ended up having to drill out the broken bolt out of the knuckle in the back, and then cleaned all the threads up, got some new bolts, put a brand new aftermarket lower control arm. Then I was able to put all the suspension back in that car, and I had to do this all myself because I was doing this in the evenings after work during the week, and unfortunately my buddies couldn't come back over to help with that. But got the new suspension back in it, got the exhaust put in it, got everything back together, took it for some test drives, did some adjustments with the suspension and stuff, and then put it up for sale. I ended up selling it about 2 weeks after I made this video, so it's still around town. I actually saw it one day driving around for work. I saw it out and about, so she's still out there driving around. And big shout out, big thank you to my buddies. So you'll see in the video, you saw Ryan Durbin, Bryson Ford, and Caleb Jones came over. Really helped me out that day, getting everything swapped over. Basically, Bryson and Ryan focused on some of the projects they could do together, like the suspension, while I was fiddling with other little bits like the intake here and there. So they were a huge help to me, helped me get it all knocked out. And then, like I said, I ended up just having to finish it up throughout the evenings myself. But we got it all done, and shortly we'll be getting back to some videos with the Blue SI. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.